Hi guys. Sorry, I'm a little late. I said I was gonna get on here at I said I was coming on. Where the heck is the camera? I gotta figure it out. I just got a new situation that my husband bought me, so I'm so excited about it because Lord knows I've been needing a new camera, but I gotta get it together. I gotta figure it out. So I told you guys I would come on here at 8 o'clock. I'm a little late. I'm 4 minutes late. But let's jump into it. I did do some research. Let's just jump right in. So, let me just add one more thing. So please follow this page. Please support this page, Pretty Politico, where I'll be joining you guys live. I'm thinking every Tuesday. I know today is Thursday, but again, this has all been coming like to me really fast. And I went viral because I just posted something on this guy just quickly. And so, but we can have a conversation, which is why I created Pretty Politico. And so if you guys are interested, I'm a poli-sci major. I have a degree in political science and sociology. So I'm really into the mind of people and also being in, sorry, I don't know where to look. And also being into just like breaking down politics and getting back to like the golden days. You know, he says make America great again. There was a time where we were in a better place. It wasn't always great, but I feel like at least we can come to some kind of brethren camaraderie. And if my page is able to bring these two together or anybody together and not have it so divisive, then that's kind of what I want to do. That's my purpose. I feel like I had a pretty unique situation in terms of being an American citizen. My mom calls it surf and turf, like we're land and sea. So we kind of understand both sides of the fence where I grew up in the North, but most of my family's in the South, so I understand their politics. Most of them are Republicans, and they do vote that way. Most of them, I don't think I know any Republicans really up here too much, but I am in a Republican state, in a sense. So it's been Republican, it's been Democrats, and I kind of understand both. I voted both ways. I've voted Democrat before. I've voted Republican before. So I kind of see it as this is our country. You know, this is our song. Like we have the right to vote however we want to vote, and nobody should tell nobody how to vote. You should just get the information, get the news, and you vote based on your MVP, your morals, your values, and your principles. That's it. That's the bottom line. We don't have to get nasty with it. Like, I don't like the nasty banter. That's what made me create my account in the first place. Look at me. I'm Trump. Oh my God. I'm going to do like a little clip thing that I saw. So there's a clip of JD Vance with water. There's a clip of Trump, you know, with the infamous water. And then there's a clip of Walz giving out water. And so I was going to do a clip of that contrast. If y'all want to beat me to it, you can do that when we get off this live. But I think that's going to be cute, like a cute little clip. Just to show, like, the differences of the party. And that's really it. One takes, one is self-serving, and one is giving to the people. So with that, let's jump into our VP picks. So I just have the news in the background because it just looked cute. I thought that was nice to set up. Okay, so let's start by saying that, again, my agenda, everybody has an agenda, and why I decided to start jumping on in the first place is to try to get us back to, like, the good republic. And what that means is basically have that ideal system that they talk about in school, trying to get us closer to that. And I support people like Nancy Pelosi. I also support people like Condoleezza Rice. I love them both. I'm a girl's girl. And I am supporting, if you are a woman and you are in politics and you've made it that far in a male-dominated field, I respect you. Don't always respect everybody's policies and what they're talking on, but I respect you for the effort and the fact that you did your big one to get into Congress or the Senate or the White House, right? So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Like, we all should be voting and we all should be active in our country because we do have that right. So now, Tim Walz. Here are some pros from what I was reading. I tried to do JD Vance. I will get there. Let's start with Tim Walz. So Tim Walz, some pros about him is he wants women to have affordable health care. And he also wants women to have things like maternity leave. So he's very liberal when it comes to having women be forward. So I love that about him. And I thought that was a positive. He created a policy that gives, and I'm an old school person. I write this stuff down. Excuse me, guys. He created a policy that gives free breakfast, lunch to students, and this includes the rich. But I'm gonna come back to that because that has a little caveat to it, and we'll run that back because he kind of did some he did, and he never got in trouble for it, but his administration did some kind of shady stuff around that, and I think this is the cleanup. So he also, again, this is around that same stuff. Like, I think this is a cleanup to the previous thing, but we'll get to that with the cons. So he created a child tax credit and improved on it. So basically, we already know Trump was giving us money for the child tax credit, but when he got in office, he improved on it and gave his citizens of what's he from, Minnesota, more money. So that was good. But again, we'll come back around to that because there's some shadiness to that policy that might hit him in the butt. It should the GOP really do their research and look into it. Okay, so he is also, here's some more positives. So the beauty of him, and this is why I think Kamala picked him, is because he moves away from the traditional Democratic elites. So think Hillary Clinton and the Obamas. I love the Obamas because I'm black, but that's it. But at the end of the day, you know, it is what it is. They are political elites, you know, just like, and that's kind of why he goes after JD Vance, because he believes he's a political elite. And there's like, you kind of have to be really careful with that, because it's basically saying you're educated, you're not a hillbilly boy, so you should not be, you know, favorable to the people because you're elite. And it's like, no, I think education is a beautiful tool to get you out of the positions that you previously were in. That's what the story of JD Vance is. That's going to be the story of Kamala, and that's also the story of like Obama, right? But he kind of pushes the envelope away from that, so people like that, because in that way he relates more to the Republicans, and that's 10 out of 10. People are happy with anything that he can do to kind of overlap that vote that JD Vance and Trump will have. I wrote this down because I thought it was a bar. I said Democrats make stars, not policies. And that's how it seems sometimes. And I think Tim Walz, he's probably one of them Democrats that will help push for more policies, because he's been in the political realm for so long that he knows how to get things through. He knows how to be bipartisan, and he's also been like the Democratic chair. He has some powerful positions within his political campaign, of course, being governor. So I feel like in that way, that's another pro towards him. But he's becoming a little bit of a star of himself, but we don't want just stars. We want policies. Tim Walz could win Pennsylvania because he's similar to Josh Shapiro in that likability rating. So he could technically win Pennsylvania, so that wasn't that much of a loss they're feeling with not having Josh Shapiro. I posted the news anchor who was talking about Kamala lost the race by picking Tim Walz, and she should have went with Shapiro because he kind of garners more in the middle, and they think that Tim Walz is just too liberal. So that was kind of like a con as well. But y'all eating that boy up in the comments on my page. Her name was it was something Coleman, and I looked him up. I was like, okay, he's only 28 years old. Like, let's leave him alone. So I might not post it on my page, on this page, but I might just post it in a story so you can see what I'm talking about and what the kid said. And he just basically said Kamala lost it. But yeah, that went viral too. So a few of my political videos been going viral on my other page. And like I said, that's why I created this one. Okay, so the youth, they like him. What they want to do. Okay. Siri hating on me, y'all. Was that Donald Trump? No, I'm just joking. So Tim Walz, he is for the youth, and he makes the country feel revitalized. So I thought that was a pro for him. And he could really help with progressing and moving arguments forward. Again, he's a bipartisan guy, so he's really good in that wheelhouse. And he also comes with just a freshness and new ideas. So I think people are going to love that about him. And because he has new ideas, he's going to motivate youth. And they're going to feel like, okay, this is coach. This is somebody I can talk to. And then they're going to allow him to, you know, get into their minds, just like Obama did in his campaign with being like the first president on Twitter. We don't know what other. I don't know what these kids is on. I don't know if they're on. Last thing I heard is Bigo, Twitch. That's the last ones I heard of, and I knew the last blogger guy I know about is Kai Cent. So I don't know if he's still popular. I don't know if he's around, but that kid, you know, is doing his own thing. So what I'm thinking is, maybe he can get those kind of kids and they can campaign in a way we've never seen, because the youth have not been activated. And this goes into the statistic I was going to tell you guys before it disconnected me. So basically 20.2 million baby boomers have died this year. Crazy, right? And 40 million Gen Xers are voting this year. Did you hear me now? I said 20.2 million baby boomers have died this year. And that leaves 40 million Gen Xers that are voting this year. So this is about the youth. This is the vote of the youth, y'all. And that's why Donald Trump was leaning so far up Joe Biden's age, right? Like he was leaning into that. But once he realized, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to use this as a campaign, like, because Joe Biden's not there, he has to come up with something quick, because his whole campaign was about being the president with the youth. But how can you have that when you have a coach, a youthful dad-looking coach, and this girl? So, of course, we'll leave that there. They're going to win the personality thing. They need to win the electoral college. So, that's what's important. Okay, so let's get into a few more. Well, I only have a few more. That's the thing about Tim Walz. I did have a lot of positive. I'm gonna be honest. He was my pick as well when I just started looking at him and versus JD and watching interviews, and it just didn't. I don't connect with JD Vance. I just can't. From the RNC and the whole speech, he gives me Elvis. I know that sounds weird and it's a random thing to give, but that's what I don't know. He gives me Elvis. He gives me, maybe it's the eyeliner, maybe it's the mascara. I don't even have mascara on, and I'm a girl. So, yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna go over some positives and negatives, but I could not relate to him, and I really try. So, okay, so Tim Walz was also, he has, I don't want to say it's stricter gun laws, but in a sense. So he's requesting a background check because he's a homeboy, basically the down homeboy. So he's gonna want Americans to have some guns. He's not against that, of course. And that is another appeal that they're saying. He has they're plugging it as he has reasonable supplies. He has a reasonable supply gun law. Like basically he wants to limit the amount of guns we have, and his are supposed to be more reasonable and a lot more strict. So yeah. And then also I said this before, he wants to expand background check. Next thing, he believes in universal health care. So unlike Trump, who kind of says he's going to just talk to the healthcare people about it. But the thing about this, and this can be a con, this is something that the Republicans despise and they see as socialism. So I don't know how this is going to fare for him, really, truly. Also, a positive that I put, he's married to Gwen Walz. And the thing about her, she was the lady who got shot in the face a few years back. And I think just that story of heroic American, they're going to play that up a lot. And I think that's going to fare in their favor. If they had more time, they would have already played it up like earlier in the year, more like close in the summertime. But they're going to still play up her story because it is an inspirational story, an American story, that if you're an American citizen, you have to respect that this woman was shot in the face and literally came back and like bounced back. So another thing that they said about him is that he had 12 years in the Congress, and because of that, again, he can he can reach across the board. He can be bipartisan, and that was another positive for Tim Walz. We mentioned the lovable likability, the fact that he's a coach and a teacher. He won re-election twice, so that means his state loves him, and they see him as a viable candidate as well. He has a strong relationship with Latino voters, and that was another really big plus of why I think Kamala and the Democrats picked him as the VP nominee. He also, I mean, for y'all little funky ones out there, he also want to legalize marijuana. You know what I'm saying? Maybe become federal for y'all. And then he also created the free meals program. And I mentioned this earlier, but he was a chair of the Democratic Association, so he has a lot of pull. They actually, one of the cons on my list was that he has this close relationship with Nancy Pelosi that can borderline inappropriate. And they're saying that their relationship is so kind of inappropriate that she kind of handpicked him. That's the tea, y'all. But I don't know. I don't know. That's what they say, allegedly. So, also, similar to, and this is a good thing for you guys that are on the fence, Republicans that are kind of on the fence and don't know who to vote for. And if he's your guy, this was something I thought was interesting. He requested paid leave, and he has a policy in his state that he improved women's pay and leave. And the same, okay, let's get to the cons. Whew, that was a long list of positives. Now the cons. Okay, so guys, he has some cons. So some of his policies are unfavorable. So we're talking about Tim Walz. We're going over the VP pros and cons. Currently going over Tim Walz. Tim Walz, his cons can be that some of his policies are unfavorable because he is really into identity politics, which means the gender policies and the gender around children in the classroom, and who has the right to choose their genders, who has the right to make that guidance. Is it the parents? Is it the teachers? Who makes that decision? And personally, for me, I told you guys this before, I really don't want none of these teachers making no decisions about my child's gender. You don't have a right. You don't have a right. So a lot of parents are going to vote just based on that. And the fact that Tim Walz is supporting that or supported it and it's on the books, they're going to eat him down, the Republicans, about that topic. Because that thing about the Republicans versus the Democrats, they're not scared to say the stuff you shouldn't say. And they're going to say it just like, they're supposed to say it. And no, not the way you're supposed to say it. They're going to say it the way they say it. They're going to say what they say, like Nene Leakes say. And a lot of us who are closer and more conservative are going to support that, because we don't want you choosing our child's gender. We get to choose we get to have that discussion with our child. If we need a therapist, and that has nothing to do with the school. That needs to be separated like church and state. Like nothing to each other. I don't care if y'all talk about sex ed when they 16, 17 years old. Who cares? But to talk to a 4, 5, 6-year-old about their sexuality, crossing the line, I do not support it. And so that was a big con for me. I put it number 1 on my list, baby. I did not like that. No me gusta, señorita. No. So the next one was J.D. Vance weird. I don't like it. These are my personal cons. These aren't really cons. I have some cons for him. From like what do they call it? Political proponents, the professionals, the journalists. But these is Nico comments. I do not like him calling J.D. Vance weird. I think it's weird that he's a coach bullying somebody and calling them weird. And we'll get to J.D. Vance because that was one of my positives about him. But I don't like that. I don't think you should use something that happens in high school so frequently where kids are called weird and kids are called out. I'm still called weird. My first day ever on live, people were like, "You're so weird." I'm like, I actually embrace it and know that. And I actually love that about myself. So I don't like that he was calling J.D. Vance weird. And I think it felt like a bullyish, and then have like everybody chanting, "You're weird, you're weird." It's like, dude, but that again goes to they're trying to get that youth vote, and youth could be a little immature, but it turned me off. I don't like it. I think he needs to completely stop this weird thing, and he needs to completely stop the couch thing, because it's turning me off personally. I don't know about y'all, but I think it's low. I don't like it. It's very low class. So that's my con for Walz. It's also that people don't like that he seems to be in bed. I mentioned this earlier with Nancy Pelosi and like those elite Democrats that they say he's so different from. It seems like he might low-key, because there was an interview that I watched with Nancy Pelosi, and the woman interview was trying to say, it seems like you had a hand in this. And she just would dodge the question. She started coughing and sneezing. That's shady. That's what aunties do when they want to answer questions, you know? And so the fact that she just started like gagging and coughing on that, I never see her get out of character like that. So it's something and then she's like, don't worry about me and my relationship with Walz. Worry about Trump. And I don't like when they do that. I don't like when they try to divert answer. They ain't gonna question. What is your relationship with Walz? And did you handpick him? That's what the lady asked. You want to start coughing and not answer questions? Don't like that. So that was a con for me for him. Because there's something shady there. I can't put my finger on it. Do your job, TikTok. Do your job. There's something there, though. Mark my words. So that I didn't like. But yeah, again, they said Nancy Pelosi handpicked him. So even though they're trying to say he's not as liberal as like a Clinton or the Obamas, as you guys think they're liberal, they're saying he's the same. Like he's in bed with them. So he supported lockdowns. They said during COVID, he was one of those like super vacciners. Like you have to get a vax. I got my vaccine because I wanted to go on a cruise, and the only way you can go on a cruise is get a vax. So I was forced. But my husband, he never got his vaccine. Never. And so some people don't, and that's the same household. So you can't force people to do stuff they don't want. So he was like super into like forcing people into the vaccine and locking down and not want to open up. He was like one of the last places to like open up and like really against it. So people were looking at him to the side eye for that. So if you are like one of those COVID people that like are against that, you would not like him for that because that was not good. And also people feel like he didn't manage the riots properly. So he did call the National Guard, and this and another thing the Republicans gonna eat him up about. Because what he did was he called 3 days later. So his town was already, the Minnesota was already like in shambles by the time he called the guards. And so as a black person, from a black person perspective who understands the black lives and in the protest, and like of course protests are important and they obviously can turn violent, which then turns to riots. I think before it gets to that point, it's the government's job to have safety regulations in place because you know a protest is coming. So as soon as you see, okay, this town got a riot, they saying they're announcing on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everybody's social media that they're gonna have a protest here tomorrow that can turn deadly. You have those. What they started doing later was, okay, you have to be in the house by 8 p.m. If you're not, you can stop it before it gets that violent and that crazy. And people are only doing that because they feel like they're not heard. So even that, you can say, look, you can come down here, get on the porch. I hear you guys. I'm listening. You don't have to tear up our city. We live here. You do that before they tear down the city. So from a black person perspective, I understand the passion. I understand the rage. I understand why people turn from protest to riot, just like right now in the UK. We'll get to that. Elon Musk. I get it. But there's a way that he could have handled it without it going so far. But because it went so far, people are saying that was a con for him and that he might not be able to handle high stress situations. And so I will implore you guys to go watch that video that he's talking to the media. And it was basically around 2018, 19. And he's talking to the media. But the panic and the sadness in his voice. But he could have handled that a little bit better. Another thing, so this goes back to when I was telling you, in his second term, he created a policy that gives free lunch programs, and he created a child tax credit that improved his overall rating, right? So I think he did that because prior to that, in his first campaign, he got in trouble for the largest PPP fraud in all of the whole nation, y'all. My light went out, so I don't think it's going to let me live, but it's okay. If we get dark, we still can talk. But yeah, the largest PPP fraud scam in all of our nation with his administration. He wasn't directly involved, but a lot of the people in his administration were, and they were basically defrauding money and not really opening businesses and things like that. And I think that goes into the child tax credit, which was slowed in that PPP thing. And then it goes into, because he said, he was bragging the other day saying that one of the policies he created when he was in office is he gave the largest tax child credit in all of America. You heard that? So if he gave the largest child tax credit in all of America, meaning he said he didn't want to give a credit to Trump. He said that his that he had a little bit of decline is. He said he had a little bit of say so when it comes to the PPP plan, right? He said that basically it was a bipartisan plan, and he helped the Republicans kind of come to the conclusion of where it ended up being, what we saw, that we got a little bit of money back. So he basically said once they created the bill, then he was able to take it back to his state and then improve on the bill that he had a bipartisan hand in, which is a nice bill. And I'm like, till I started researching. So then he also had the PPP fraud. So my theory, my personal theory, this is all alleged, I don't have no proof. But my personal theory is when he was caught in that PPP fraud scam, and it was the largest in history, he basically said, well, let me in the future say that I also gave the most improved and the most money back to my citizens. And you kind of be like, oh, well, maybe some of the PPP money went back to us. So he frauded, but he frauded for our state. You feel me? But I don't like it. It's all messy and it ain't right. So keep that in mind as another negative. The largest PPP fraud in all of America in his state. So something to that with his administration, just approving, not even checking balances. Okay, another con. We're on cons now. We already did the positives, guys. Like, I know a lot of you guys are Tim Walz people. I think personally, if I had to pick between her three choices, I think also Walz was good for her. I like Shapiro, but he just didn't have that je ne sais quoi that I felt like Walz did once I watched their speeches. Like when I watched Shapiro's speech on education benefits, and he was doing like he was passing a bill. I really didn't like his vibe versus it just seemed shady. It seemed old school dim. That's what Shapiro gave me. Versus Tim Walz, it seemed loving, caring, and it also felt like he can go toe to toe with a JD Vance, with a Trump, and I think that's what Kamala needed on her ticket. So in that way, I understand her decision. But we don't know these people, y'all. They just throwing people out to us like, here, you take a VP, you take a VP. VP. This ain't even the presidents no more. This is all about the VPs. Like the VP, this is VP time. So that's why I'm telling you guys about him, because I don't know much and you guys don't know much about him either. He's not a popular candidate. So we already did the positives. Sorry if you missed it. Next time we might go back over it again, but I'm almost finished. So we're going to go finish the last bit of the cons that I have about him. And if you want to know about the positive, you can send me a DM. We can talk, but I don't want to go back over it. So the last three cons that I have. So I already mentioned that one. So the taking credit. So they said he's too far left. They said that he is more of an extremist than Joe Biden. Like Joe Biden's kind of like right down the middle. Like he's an American hero. Like people love him. He's welcoming and warm. Tim Walz had that similarity. He's very similar to Biden in that way. But they said, because I think really the extremist part comes in with two things. The gun laws, which is basically requiring background checks and a little bit more policy and a little bit more laws around gun laws. I don't think they like that. And I think the second thing that makes him an extremist in their eyes is his legislation behind the LGBTQ thing and allowing your son and daughter to not, make a transition without parents having to say so. And again, I told you, me personally, I don't rock with that. I do not agree with that. I think parents should always have a say so when it comes to that kind of stuff. And then I think they should help guide the children as adults. Obviously, if you feel like as a teacher, there's like psychological things with the parents and there's such, then you speak up. But for the most part, if a parent has not shown any crazy behaviors or not neglecting or abusing their child, they have every right to make the decisions for their child. It's at least minimum to have those conversations about their child before the school, decides what sex or gender they are. So that is a negative on Tim Walz, and I really think that Donald Trump and JD Vance are going to hone in on that, and they're going to pound it. So we're going to hear about it a lot. This is the final thing. So the final thing that I thought I'm going to wrap this up with in terms of Tim Walz. they basically said he's a wolf in sheep's clothing. So they said if this is the when I say they, I mean like news pundits. So I've been watching clips, news, like wherever I can kind of gather different points of views. That's where I get. This is a bipartisan page, by the way, guys. This is called Pretty Politico. It's a new page. I am taking you guys from another page that I have because my other page is more like light and positivity. It's called Give This Girl a Mic. And it's not like this at all. It's very like butterflies. And I just happened to say one thing about policy and then it went viral. So I said, no. We're going to bring this over here because that is not for that. This is for that. So they said that he plays a wolf in sheep's clothing. And that is something that the Republicans can really like amp up. Basically, this is your king. Like, this is not who this guy is not who he say is. He's a drunk. He's a this. I mean, allegedly. But this is the things that they can say about him. They can say that he's basically he's not progressive, but he's trying to take us back and trying to take us into a future of socialism. And you know, that's like, ooh, Mufasa. When you say socialism, like socialism. Like they get, you know, that's like Republicans' word. And what they mean by that is we ain't giving these po mofos none of our money. That's essentially what it is. Because socialism just means that you're giving free healthcare to all, you're giving food programs to all, and a lot of the taxes from the rich, and they're supposed to, everybody makes the same amount, and everybody's taken care of and eaten. But we see in places like Cuba and things like that, which we can talk, I ain't gonna go into that, that's a whole nother, places like that have like socialist regimes where they can go into the grocery store and buy anything. The grocery stores are empty and don't have anything. So that's why socialism, they feel, does not work, because if you give people everything, people will take everything. So Obama gave a perfect example of this. They said, what is the number one thing you learned as president, Obama? He said, I learned that if you give a monkey a banana, the monkey's still going to want your banana. And AKA, what he means is, no matter how much power, wealth, and land that a country has and a leader has, they still want more. So if, let's say, the U.S. wants a territory, we gonna take the territory. I'm just using us because I don't want to put no other country under the tape. Throw them under. This is about us. But we see it right now all over the world. And so they're saying that Tim Walz wants to take us to that side. He wants to take us to a place of socialism, and where everybody's picking off each other, because in the ideal world, we would be socialists, right? Everybody would give one, each one teach one, right? That's not the reality of human nature, and that's what Obama learned in his 8 years. He just basically said, we are dog eat dog, and we're gonna eat. We're gonna hoard, not just eat, we're gonna hoard to survive for our kind. And that's why, if you have that idea, that's why it's more important than ever that us Americans, at minimum, we hoard together. And that's what this page is for. Like, we don't need to be worried about what's happening. We're going to talk about global, actually, at the end of this. A little bit, just a little bit for, like, those who are, like, really geeks into politics like me. But if you're not, you can keep on strolling at that point. But not yet. We about to talk about J.D. Vance now. What time is it? Okay, we ain't got too much more time. We got 20 minutes because I told my baby I was getting off at 9. J.D. Vance, I actually watched him in Wisconsin, so I have some positives just from his own mouth. Which I don't know if I should believe all those, because I couldn't really find any. And that's another thing I don't like about media. I couldn't find a lot of pundits talking positively about him or negatively about him. The negatives were he's just like crude and self-centered, and the positives were he's a hillbilly boy and a proud boy, essentially. It's very basic, and I think I'm going to take it upon myself this weekend, and maybe I'll do a full J.D. Vance chat, because I don't think it's fair. I do think it's fair how the media is treating him. I won't say that, especially after Trump last night. But I don't think it was fair up until this point how the media was treating him, because, again, the weird thing, I just think they're like letting a lot of things go. And it's like, give the kid a break. Like, at the end of the day, he did graduate, what was it, from Yale University. And and you know he had a rough upbringing and still made it, and so there are some positive about him. So let's hear it from his own mouth, because like the only positive, I ain't had nothing on my page, y'all, and I researched, and I had a whole 3 pages for Tim, and that's crazy. And I looked, y'all, and I'm like bipartisan minded. Like, I'm not even trying to like sway you either way, but I couldn't find a lot of positives about JD Vance. If you guys know, just leave them in the chat. But one thing I thought was positive was how he handled the word weird. I thought he handled it really well. Like when he said, like, why are you guys bullying me? He's like, I am weird and I accept it. And he said, any high schoolers out there that feel like they're weird and being picked on by their bullies, I'll be weird with you. so now that I'm saying it out loud, I'm like, hold on. The high schoolers, they gonna be like, I don't know who wants to be weird like him. I think it's the hair flip. Like, he keeps doing the hair flip. That's okay. And then, so let's talk about what he said that his pros are. This was him in Wisconsin yesterday. I didn't watch him too much today. I had enough. So he called, one thing I didn't like, he did call the protesters that Walz, and I said this is a good point, that Walz is not good when it comes to law and order, and so that's going to be a con against Walz. But so JD Vance, he pummeled on that, saying he's all about law and order, and this is a law and order campaign. He didn't really talk about himself too much. He talked about the campaign and he talked about him and Trump. That's it. And he said he called protesters hoodlums. He said that I didn't like that, because you know that has a kind of racial connotation to it a little bit, so I didn't like that. But he was basically saying protesters are hoodlums, and Walz did not take care of business when it comes to those hoodlums. So that's what JD Vance said about the protesters, and that, again, I said that about Walz as well. That is a con against Walz. So he did not do good with the protesters, or rioters, or hoodlums, whatever you want to call them. He believes in a fair and free election. In other words, he believes that the Trump last time was stolen, and they're going to do anything they need to do to make sure they win this election and to make sure that the laws are being abided by. So he said he's in communication with a lot of election committees to make sure that it's a fair and honest election this time. If you don't believe it was last time, which I do believe it was. The one thing that he kept saying was stuff. So if you guys are listening, the GOP out there, stop saying stuff. Stop saying stuff. All you have to do, instead of saying stuff, say policy. Say it with me. Policy. Because you're making yourself look like some dumb stuff. So, okay, so he kept saying Trump is on top of stuff. We are on top of stuff. In my campaign, I was on top of stuff. And I looked at news pundits. I looked at his biography. I could not find any major policies that he like really did. And I'm like, but when he had the chance to speak to us, like us, what do you call us? I don't want to call myself an independent. I'm neither. I'm myself. Whatever. Us voting how we want to, how we feel, right? He had the whole platform to speak, and it was right before Walz and Kamala went on in Wisconsin, same city. He had about an hour to talk, and he never talked about his policy. We're going to go over what he talked about, but he talked about just Trump. And I would have liked him to say, these are my policies. These are the things I'm going to do. These are the things I'm not going to do. And I'm just going to do another quick search to see what they say come up. If they saw, see, because even AI, usually nowadays when you have a question, AI just pops it right there. AI can't even tell me what the hell JD do. I can tell you his political views, but I can't tell you any policies. So that's another thing. So that's a kind of a con. So what he did say, and I agree with JD Vance when he said that, and that's my thing with the media. He said that he feels that they're providing a one-sided story and they're not giving him a chance to accurately depict himself in the media. So that's why he's taking little jabs and chances to present himself to the media where he can. So that's why you saw the antics. I think that was like, I don't think Trump would have, maybe he would have approved the antic because he gave him the plane, but I don't think that was smart to just jump up there in Kamala's like moment. And it kind of shows a lack of respect for your country because she is still the VP. So didn't like that. But I get with the antics and the youth, and like if you're trying to just give your news source something to say, then that worked, right? That was a moment for JD to have a moment. But to me, 48 Laws of Power, never outshine the master. He outshines Trump in a negative way. So I think Trump is going to give him the kaboot, or like, I don't know when, but he's not really, he's outshining the master in a negative way. Okay, so according to yeah. Okay. We'll talk about what AI told me, but let's just talk about what JD told us first. So also he talked about his promise to maintain the law and order and make sure that the police have what they need to be productive workers in an environment that can be particularly unsafe for them. So he talked about that, and he talked about improving just security overall in America to make us feel more protected, because right now with the they call it, the border Cesar or something, we don't feel protected with her. So in order to feel that protection, basically vote JD. That's what he was saying as well, because he talked about Kamala and how her plan is to defund the police. Oh, I told you guys I only have a few minutes. 1 second. Harper, you give me 10 more minutes? How do I pause it? Oh, okay. Hey y'all. Hey, I'm back. So thank you guys for staying. Whoever stayed, I think that's gonna go back off, but freshen it up. I wish I could have charged it, but neither here nor there. So let's go over JD. My baby said I had to feed my child because this internet stuff, it ain't real. But my baby, she real. And that's why I want you guys to have both sides as well, because I'm not just like a person who is just talking to you guys because it doesn't mean anything to me. who I vote for matters because it's gonna project the future of my child. And like, if she's not, I'm gonna turn this off. If she's not being well handled or well taken care of, then I feel like I failed as a mom. And so if as long as I have breath in me, I'm gonna make sure that I can provide her with the life that she can live in, and who the leader of the country is, of the free world, does matter. So that's why I just started hopping on here. Okay, so also a thing that I liked, can we talk about everything? A thing that I liked about JB was that he cares about farmers' rights. And he has plans to expand and to export farming all over the world because he grew up with farmers. He has a love for farmers and he respects the American farmers. So that hit. I feel like when you mentioned that, like the whole crowd went like buzzing and they were like, okay, I see what you did there. So that was great because right now he said America used to export a lot of items, but we don't have like a large number of export. We're like one of the largest countries with the most amount of imports, and that's similar to like the UK and Britain. That's why they suffer so much and why they have to go out and conquer and colonize so much, because they don't have a lot of goods that are theirs, right? So even I just saw something on TikTok the other day talking about a lot of the Italian leather is really outsourced from places in Africa. A lot of the like significant fragrance houses are fragrances from Africa. So they have to outsource those things, and that's something that we're doing right now, but we're outsourcing not from Africa because UK got that on lock. We get in where we can fit in. Russia's entering, China's entering in Africa. We're not like that. And then also we're really heavily in bed with China, unfortunately. And I think unfortunately, fortunately, because they are kind of the largest imports of us, but at the same time it kind of makes us look weak globally. So that's something that they want to work on, but I don't know how much people really want American food right now, because with our FDA and all that stuff, our regulations, people say like when you're on the internet a lot, you'll see kids ordering food from overseas and it's banned in their country to try to get that American food. So that's going to be like an uphill battle. He also, which I love that he said a lot of like this whole Project 2025 stuff is not what you think it is. He was basically saying he read it. They know what it is. I don't have an opinion. I'm just telling y'all what he said. This is what he said. And he said, but they're not really in bed with it. And he said, I love this because the way he said it was a bar. He said Donald Trump speaks for himself. Donald Trump does what he wants. And J.D. Vance is supporting him and will be there with him all the way. And he told Kamala, which I thought was a bar. And it didn't get no news. I didn't get any news, which I thought was also interesting. He said right now Kamala is still the vice president. And with that in mind, he can technically still debate her. So he was saying, if you want to debate me on August 13th. Period. Why you still? And then debate Trump on August 19th. Something like that. September. And it was kind of cute when he said that. I was like, okay, he's trying to fight back. But he felt like this whole thing with the Biden thing, he was talking about that again, was like a bait and switch. And he did not like that. He didn't respect it. He was really upset with how they just switched things out with Biden and Kamala. So I said to myself, and this is just like a little side note I wrote, that they need to get on social media. They need to freshen up their antics, because he was like in his old dusty warehouse. It's just so out of touch. It was giving 1980s. Like, what was that guy from New York City with the hunchback, the hair? I can't remember now. I used to see him on commercials back in the day. He gives that, like, it mixed with Elvis. And I don't know, like I said, why he reminds me of Elvis. Maybe it's the eyebrows or the eyelashes, but something about him. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing either. It just does. He did talk a lot about his vision of America. Never his policies, but often talked about his vision of America, that he wants to make it where you can live the American dream and you don't have to give up your values to do that. So that's a direct jab at Walz's LGBTQ jargon. So that American dream thing, and that, you don't have to give up your morals, that's a direct hit at Walz. So he's going to be, probably can look for that in the debates, which will be fun. I really want to see, because we don't know these guys. We don't know JD. We don't know him. Just like I said about Walz, we don't know him. So our first real true glimpse and look, JD Vance, is a bestseller. So I'm going to read his book because I want to give you guys, next time I come on here, maybe I'll do a full breakdown of like who, just like not doing like a pros and cons like I'm doing today. Just give you a full overview of one candidate at a time, even the presidents, the president-elects. So we'll kind of do a breakdown of that next time, which I think will be really, really fun to kind of, and I think I'm going to start with JD because I don't know, he's the least one I know about, and if he's going to be our VP, we need to know, right? So he's also talked about being like growing up near mills and factory workers, and how his family are all like military people, and like how he knows America. So that kind of down home talk, I thought that was really good for him, and it kind of made you feel like, okay, you can understand where he's coming from, and I think that is going to resonate with American people. So one thing I noticed, they kind of have to, I don't know if you know, a lot of their events are outdoors. Did you notice that? And I heard, this is some tea now. I'll be telling y'all a little tea too, because like, we might as well get a little into the... Okay, so the tea is that he is outdoors and Trump is doing all their stuff outdoors because they haven't paid them people. They don't be paying their bills. And I can see Trump doing that. Not even necessarily, well, I wouldn't say not on purpose, but I just feel like it's a part of his ego of like, I'm the guest. You lucky. I brought 20,000 people to your thing. You're lucky I'm here. Like, you should be, it's like influencers, how they get offended if they don't have like hors d'oeuvres, or they don't have like a first class seat. It's like, you just be getting on the internet talking and you expect to get the same treatment as the CEO of the company. That's how Trump is. He like, I am the CEO of whoever, whatever. You should be happy that I'm in your space. So why do I have to pay you? But yeah, he's not paying them people. So they're done with him. And if you notice, a lot of his events are outdoor spaces because of that. So that was a little tea. And I only noticed that when I was watching I noticed it also when I was at the JD Vance event, because I'm like, he's outdoors. He's in a factory. It's because he ain't got no money, and he's supposed to be coming off like this huge plane, and it's supposed to be like a whole thing. They were saying, oh, he gonna be at a plane. He was at like a plane warehouse facility thing, but he was like underneath these steps. It was just cheap. It was so cheap, and that's another thing that's a con for me when it comes to the JD Vance campaign right now. It's giving cheap. It's giving Payless shoes. And which is nothing wrong with that, but that's not what we want out of our president. Like, you're representing our country. You're going to be hanging with like the richest men in the world. We need you to put some good shoes on at least to represent us. Trump, buy that boy some shoes, because that boy's shoes be looking bad. Anyway, so he did talk about drill, baby drill, and that they want to, again, with the same thing with the farmers, they wanted to get the most export out of this country as possible. So if you're into that and you want more drill, baby drill, you want the export, you want the farmers to have more access to exporting, then Vance is your guy. JD, Vance, Trump, they're your guys, okay? Oh, he talked about being united by love of the country. You know what that means. To me, that's a dog whistle. As a black woman, I hear, So I don't like that. I love my country. I love my country, but it's the way you say things really matters. So he has to kind of, we're not as dumb as we used to be. Everything's on the internet now. So he has to be really careful with a lot of the dog whistles. The big dog whistle right now is and he keeps doing that. JD Vance has done it several times at his events. This is the dog whistle. Black people don't like the dog whistle. Minorities don't like the dog whistle. We can see the dog whistle. We see you. We on the internet now. So ain't no need for that. Like, black people gonna vote for you, they gonna vote for you. Black people not gonna vote for you, they not. White people gonna vote for you, they gonna vote for you. Like, stop the racist antics. Just, what are your policies? Nobody care. I mean, I don't think people don't care about racism. Racism exists. Racism is real. But what are your policies? Either regarding racism, cool. What's your policy on that? Stop talking about it if you're not going to address it. Leave us alone if you're not going to address it. We've been figuring it out all this time. We'll figure it out. But if you're not going to address it, then leave us the hell alone with this black stuff. Like, we tired of it. We want you to make policies that will positively affect our children. Bada bing, bada boom. That's the Jersey in me. Literally. Stop with the stuff. Like, I'm tired of the weird. I'm tired of the couch. I'm tired of the race baiting from the Trumps. The weird stuff is from Kamala and them. I'm tired of that. And I'm tired of the race baiting when it comes to the Trumps. Like, just the facts, sir. Give us the damn facts. Give us the meat and potatoes. And stop playing with us like we children. Who is this campaign for? Is it for a 5-year-old? Or is it for a 35-year-old, 45-year-old, 55? Like, let us know. The 25-year-old. Like, stop playing with us. So I think that's part of my whole thing with both sides. Like, they're playing these kiddie, childish games, and nobody's telling us what their policies are. What are you doing day one? Ground running. Come talk to me. Talk to me nice. That's what I want to hear. Like, and that's the thing. Like, if you talk to us nice, tell us what we need to know, then we can make informed votes. But if you keep playing with us, then we're voting for RFK. We're gonna vote for RFK. Damn it, we're sick of it. Okay, anyway, that's all I have on JD. I ain't got much, y'all. I tried. I tried. He's a farmer, migrant boy. He talked about the borders. He's basically rocking whatever Trump's rocking with. His behind is rocking with, and he ain't got no policies in play right now. He's a young boy. He's going to learn a lot from his mentor, and that's why Trump picked him, because he's moldable, unlike somebody like a Pence, who he can't mold, he can't control, and Nikki Haley can't mold, can't control. So JD will be whoever Trump is, and that's the bottom line. And I don't see him coming out of the fog. I don't see him changing or pivoting anyway. I think he's going to be the new school, because in that Project 2025, they are talking about that. They're talking about recruitments and how, and that's another, we'll go over that as well one day. Project 2025 discusses that. They discuss how they're going to have a recruitment database. And this might be good. This is bipartisan page, so you want to vote that way, that's your business. This might benefit you guys if you feel like you would be in that database. They're going to have a database of students that are successful students that they feel like are going to be on a trajectory and along the lines of what they deem as somebody who should be in office later, kind of like what Denmark does, right? And so if you're in that database, then you're more than likely to get a good job, like Gattaca. That's what it sounds like in Project 2025. So I think J.D. Vance is one of the first of the Gattaca entity that we're going to see in the future when it comes to not just Trump, not just Republicans, not the GOP, but just policy and politics in general. And I say that because this is way off kilter, and you guys probably don't watch this stuff at all, but it's like watching some trashy, like, reality TV talk. And one of the bloggers was showing the AI summary of what the commenters were saying about a reality TV star. And it basically said, this reality TV star is being talked about because, and commenters believe that they see things this way because, right? So if they already have that for bloggers and stupid reality TV shows, you don't think that every day Kamala and Trump, and if Trump, if you're not, you better go get your own, are getting these daily briefings from AI about what the general election and people think about them? And you don't think because they're getting these daily updated briefings from AI about their image, right, that they're not pivoting and adjusting to that image, which can come off as, like I said before, one of Tim Walz's flaws, which is he can be a wolf in sheep's clothing. But when we know politics, they all are. But who is closer to the wolf and who is closer to the sheep? That's what we have to figure out. Okay, you guys can leave now if you're already here. If you guys are done with listening, because this is going to be some just general fun stuff from my liking that I saw about politics that I just wanted to talk about. This is general politics. This is not necessarily politics regarding America. So first I wanted to talk about Elon Musk. Okay. Oh, I could have went over that before I ended. J.D. Vance is a prominent figure. This is from AI. because they, remember I told you I put JD Vance's policies. I couldn't find policies on any station, any channel about like actual concrete policies. American conservatives, he has various policies and various positions on family dynamics. That's exactly what I was seeing with the news. Various general, broad. Some key elements to his policy include promoting economic growth in regions, in selective regions. Okay. Family stability and cohesion, opioid crisis, which is basically a hit on Kamala because he's basically saying she didn't do anything when it comes to the border patrol and the drug back and forth. He talked about that in his speech. It talks about his writings on his writings. I said I'm going to read his book and I'll let you know what his actual views are, because I feel like his writing, his bestseller, will be more insightful to who JD Vance is than any of his speeches, because he doesn't speak really. Well, we're going to give a man a chance. Okay. We're going to read about his life, at least, if nothing else. He's already made history, right? His writings and public statements often reflect a mix of conservative values and concerns about the plight of the working class Americans. If you like, I can be more specific. Yes, please be more specific. Okay, let's see if we can get some specific policies. Okay, so they have a few. And I think I talked a few about these already. So I did a good job. Hey, with my little sheet and paper, I kind of did better than AI. Okay. Because I gave y'all heart and soul. They just give you the facts. So I gave you background. Okay, economic opportunity. Vance has advocated for policies aimed at revitalizing struggling regions in terms of the Rust Belt. So if you guys are in the Rust Belt, he's supporting programs and investments in infrastructure, reducing and regulating economic growth and job creation in these places. And I told you that he wants to have a pipeline where there's more structure for the American dream. He wants to decrease college funds. He talked about that, which is something Josh Shapiro also talked about. So I kind of think he grabbed that from Josh Shapiro, because Josh Shapiro said that the day before. But it was good. It was good coming out of JD Vance's mouth, too. And he was talking about that. Family dynamics. Vance has highlighted the importance of strong families, community support networks, and addressing social issues. He has called for policies that incentivize marriage and family stability, such as tax credits for married couples and parental parent leave. That's an Ivanka Trump thing. She's all about female maternal leave, but he sounds like he wants parental leave, which is going to be good, and that's a progressive thought. So that's a good one on him. That's also going to be good on him because he said incentivize marriage and family stability. That's really a dig at Walz, because Walz has the LGBTQ thing and the gender thing, and that's his big run. And JD Vance is probably going to eat him up in the debates just about that topic. Opioid crisis. This is a direct hit on Kamala. So this is what JD Vance has. He says he's given his personal experience with addiction in his own family. Vance has been a vocal advocate for more robust efforts to combat the opioid crisis. He has supported increased funding for addiction treatment programs, opioid awareness programs, and stricter regulation on prescription opioids. I like that. So basically the fentanyl crisis epidemic, he wants to address it, but it also talks about the general overall opioid epidemic, and I think that's something that he's going to hit home with Kamala, which he probably was going to do in a debate. But because he's not debating her, that's kind of... Because basically he wanted to talk about how she was the border czar, I don't know what the word. But basically she was in control of the border and how she let so many drugs over here. And he's going to go head on that. He's going to say, my family was directly affected by it. The opioid epidemic, and he's going to use that in his favor. So for him, if he brings that up, even through the eye of Walz, like if he talks about Walz's addiction and his DUI, he could talk about that kind of stuff and wrap that into the opioid crisis. That's a win for JD Vance. He's gonna be able to, if he's smart, he could really talk about that in debates. Again, guys, I'm just going over now some positive and negatives for JD Vance. I already did Tim Walz earlier. If you missed it, sorry, but I already did him. Now we're on JD Vance. We're actually wrapping him up. This is like the last little bit of it before I have to go. And then social mobility. Vance expressed concerns about decline in social mobility in America, and that he calls for policies that will help create more of a meritocratic society, he has emphasized the importance of education, skills training, and reducing barriers to economic advancement in individuals from disenfranchised backgrounds. I love that. He should hone in on that. He can use that with the Latino vote. He can use that with the Dreamers. He could talk about that, and he could wrap that into his American Dream ideology in his colleges if he does it right. Hope you're listening. Cultural issues. So Vance has also spoken out on cultural issues such as the importance of social cohesion and shared values in society. He has criticized what he perceives as cultural elitism that disconnects political and cultural elite from the working class. Beautiful. Again, all these are the same thing. But he don't have no policies. But all these are the same thing. So basically, he wants to put his foot on the American dream and help guide American citizens through a streamlined process to get to their dream. So if you rocking with that, you're going to vote for J.D. Vance. Okay? And that's essentially his views. So my general overall feeling is he has to clean up his act when it comes to, and I didn't do this for Walz, because I feel like Walz, he's been in this game a long time, so he didn't need this advice. But at JD, if you're going to continue with somebody like a veteran like with Walz, you have to clean up the hair flips and the vanity act. That has to stop. You have to get more streamlined on what your policies are, where you see the future moving forward. You got to talk more to the youth and stop talking to stop talking any kind of way to the media, because media do not like you. Even Fox News, those are your guys. Even Fox News was bashing you today. I don't know what it looked. Even Fox News was bashing you today. They said you was too sassy. They said you was too sassy. And you think Trump going to hear that and want to keep you? You got to put your dukes up. You got to clean it up. Stop flipping your hair. Take that dang old mascara off or whatever's going on with the eyes. And stop making this a vanity contest. It's just the facts, sir, JD. Just the facts. Because you're going to go on up against a grown man who got a lot of friends on both sides. So you're going to come to him. You got to come correct. And you got to know what you're talking about. So research J.D. Vance. Research Tim Walz like you're studying the best game of your life. If you even ever played a game. Because they basically saying you ain't never been this. You ain't never do that. They saying you want a little... I ain't gonna get into that. They basically trying to make you seem like you are prissy. That's the best way I can describe it. And Donald Trump is a manly man. He's an alpha. So if they're paying you out to be prissy, media, and you got this manly man, they basically saying like you're not in the same playing field with him, and you're not gonna do good in the election with Trump, and you're not gonna do good with the Democrats either, because Walz is going to eat you up. And then in terms of Trump is going to feel like you're bringing him down and you're weak. And you're going to be out of a ticket. So just be careful with what you're doing when it comes to how you're presenting to the media. So I'll leave it there with J.D. Vance. Then I got my last 10 minutes. I'll wrap it up with the fun stuff that I was going to do about 10 minutes ago. Sorry, guys. I'm a talker. So I wanted to talk quickly about Elon Musk. Because I thought it was so funny when I saw this story. So, it's actually kind of dangerous, but it's kind of funny because it's just his nature. So, basically, apparently, Elon Musk is moving to Texas. So, Elon Musk is moving here. And to me, when I saw this like a week ago, I was like, he's moving his headquarters of X from California all the way to Texas. And to me, it was like a sign that this is going to be a civil war. And then I'm like a conspiracy theorist because I've been getting like a lot of civil war advertisements. I'm like, what is going on? And then for that to happen, I'm like, hold on, you guys got to look at that. So then with the way my mind thinks, I said, okay, if Elon Musk is moving, and I saw something like vaguely about 6 or 7 weeks ago about other people moving. So then I did a quick Google search and I said, how many companies are moving out of California to Texas and why? And Texas is important regarding the Civil War. Do your research and we'll come back and talk about it. So now, here we go. So Tesla is moving, which is Elon Musk. X is moving, which is Elon Musk. Apple is moving. These are all from California to Texas. Hewlett Packard is moving. HP. Amazon is moving. They moved in 2018. Oracle moved in 2020. Toyota moved previously before that, and AT&T moved previously before that. So some of the largest conglomerates in our country are all moving to Texas. Why? That's what you have to ask yourself. I ain't got the answer, Sway, but I did some speculating, because that's what I like to do. And if y'all here watching me, y'all like to speculate too. So let's get into it. So speculate within factual reasoning, within logical reasoning. So the first speculation is, and this is all allegedly. So this is not alleged. He actually did this. He tweeted that civil war is inevitable. But he wasn't talking about in regards to the U.S. But listen up. He did just move Tesla and X from Cali to Texas. And you know, Texas and the Civil War, it's like brother and sister. They love each other. So keep that in mind. So now he tweeted that civil war is inevitable, but he was talking in regards to the riots in the UK, and that there's like racial tones and Islamic phobia going on in the UK. And there's these big riots. You can look it up. It's insane, actually. And so Elon, he blamed the mass immigration, aka basically, he didn't call it mass immigration. He called it mass migration, aka which basically means immigration, right? He blamed that on the current tensions in the UK. And Elon said that those three children were struck. I don't want to say what happened to them. You can look it up. And they caused these riots, right, based on racial tensions. And so Elon blamed that on Muslim people. I know, he should have did that. Okay, but he did, and his story's out there, and then so you know how the writers took it. I don't know what the right is in the UK. Do you guys know what the right is? I have to look that up. Whatever the right is in the UK, the right, when they took that and just basically say Muslims, they gotta get the heck out of our country. Da, 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 da. And so the prime minister said, "Hold on, you wrong for this, Elon. You know, you saying we about to be in a civil war. You saying that the Muslims is causing this. Right? It's not true." So the prime minister hopped on and said that a 17-year-old who was born in the UK, not a migrant, who was actually born here, did the crime. Okay, so that shifted the narrative. And instead of Elon coming up and being like apologetic, so the prime minister said this. So the prime minister said Elon should be held accountable. That no one's above the law, online or offline. That law should be applied offline as well. So I say, hold on, I don't like that. I don't think law should apply to everything online. Like, obviously some things, yes, but there's a fine line when it comes to that. So that kind of is feeling too big brother. So Elon, he trolled it. He trolled the prime minister. And we used to have respect for our leaders, but it seemed like that's where the Civil War stuff is coming out of. January 6th, and insurrection, that's the vibe, that's the energy of the country. So get with me, y'all. Wake up, okay? So all right, I'll be there. So he basically trolled, and he told the prime minister that he said what he said, essentially. And so he basically trolled, and he told the prime minister that he said what he said, essentially. He basically trolled the guy and basically said, like, he said what he said, and that the migrants is the problem. So the problem with this situation, and why I'm telling you guys, is because you have to be careful watch what's happening, because that's the tone of where we're going. So even though it's like Kamala, that's the vibe, that's not really the vibe. It's not really the vibe. So you got to prepare what the vibe is. The vibe is Trump worldwide. Okay? Just keep that in mind. The vibe in America is what we feeling. We feeling rejoiced, revitalized, we're happy. Thank God for Walz. Thank God for Kamala. It's somebody who's speaking to us and speaking. But the world is Trump. So that's what we have to watch. So the fact that they're moving to Texas and he's talking civil war, and Trump is kind of cool, calm, and collected right now, don't give a damn what they doing, and J.D. Vance and his little cocky self is popping up with planes, with a Trump plane, it's giving civil war. So I say all that to say, Protect yourself, protect your families, protect your loved one, protect your MVP, your morals, your values, and principles. That's why we are here. Thank you for joining me on this live today. I got to go hang with my baby because I got better things to do than deal with politics all day. But I appreciate you if you did stay here, if you did join. I see people joining in and out, and I appreciate all the love. Take care until next time. This is Pretty Political with Nico. Take care. Bye.